Ladies and gents, welcome back. Protest has been a cornerstone. It's been an important part of our liberal democracies in the West, and it's been under attack in recent times. You wouldn't know that if you were to just listen to our gaslighter-in-chief, the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, as he says. Well, he says that Canada place of free expression, as Indigenous protesters call him, a colonizer. And this story is from the Post Millennial. But before we get into this, let's just have a look. This is at the COP15 summit. These are a bunch of Indigenous protesters that came out to protest against him. So they came marching in and then interrupted his speech as he was talking. So that was the scene there as he was making his speech. Now he was interrupted and he had to stop talking. And we got Megan Doran here, unless you're a trucker, right, Trudeau? Trudeau claiming that Canada is a place of free expression where individuals and communities are free to express themselves strongly.
As you can also see, Canada is a place of free expression where individuals and communities are free to express themselves openly and strongly. And we thank them for sharing their perspectives. Merci beaucoup.
To which afterwards he had them escorted out and then arrested. This is the scene. Dixie for Equality and Justice posted this on Twitter. Protesters interrupted Trudeau's speech in Montreal, and he said that it's fine because he encourages free speech in Canada. Then Trudeau has the RCMP arrest the protesters outside on the street. The PM is a disgraceful tyrant and hypocrite who won't tolerate criticism.
Press.
Okay, guys.
Just so we're clear, CBC, we are surrounded by police. We don't know any of these people and we don't know what we've done, but we just left the United Nations and now the police have surrounded us. This is a group of harmless Indigenous youth. Nobody is armed. Nobody has done anything illegal. But now we are surrounded by the police.
So for now, ma'am, you are detained for injury. Okay, so I'm going to tell you your rights. You have the right to remain silent. So you don't have to talk to us for now. Okay? You have the right to a lawyer. You understand? Okay, so we're going to make some verifications and we'll see what's going to happen. But right now, you're not allowed to leave this place right now.
All right, let's get into this story here. Standing before delegates around the globe, Trudeau claimed that Canada was a place of free expression. We all know that not to be true. We watched the trucker protests in February and what happened there. On Tuesday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau kicked off COP15 summit in Montreal, but midway through his opening remarks, he was interrupted by Indigenous protesters, some of whom referred to him as a colonizer, standing before the delegates from around the globe. So embarrassing him once again in front of maybe his favorite dictators around the globe. Trudeau used the opportunity to claim that Canada was a place of free expression. Well, we know that not to be true, and it was shown here. As you also see, he told the crowd, Canada is a place of free expression where individuals and communities are free to express themselves openly and strongly. And we thank them for sharing their perspective. We've heard you. Now go be arrested outside by horses. Hopefully they weren't trampled like we've seen in recent times as well. Footage of Trudeau's statement made its way onto Twitter, where users were quick to point out that he had taken a very different tone when it came to the Freedom Convoy protesters earlier this year. Absolutely. Canada under Trudeau is free unless you're vaccinated, unless you're a believer who wants to pray, sing, and defend his right and keep the house of worship open, unless you're a pastor or a minister determined to not bow to threats unless you're a trucker or a farmer, or unless you're a person who just wants to go to your family home against the wishes of the Quebec government, as we saw. I can't share that footage anymore on YouTube because YouTube sees it as a violent event that took place, just trying to spread the information of what occurred here in Canada. But that was a case where family members in this Quebec home were pulled out and beaten by the police for breaking social distancing rules. Far from thanking members of the Freedom Convoy for sharing their perspective, Trudeau cracked down on their protests against COVID-19 policies. I think we have a robust, functioning democracy, he said, while testifying at the Emergencies Act inquiry, adding that while protests are important, using protests to demand changes of public policy is worrisome. Well, what else would you protest for? What else would you protest for except to possibly change policy? And we're talking about policies. We're talking about policies here that were completely undemocratic. We're talking about policies that were put in place by decree. They were executive orders to put in place these policies. They weren't voted on in the parliament. The mandate policies. We're finding out more information about ArriveCan and what happened there. And it's looking uglier and uglier all the time. And it looks like some people got really rich in the process. He went on to explain that he didn't want to set a bad precedent by legitimizing the Freedom Convoy. Now, that would be terrible because he spent so much effort in labeling them racists and misogynists and all these other horrible things about people. And of course, those are the worst things to call somebody, because we live in a society, despite popular belief, that doesn't like racists. That's why it's such a useful tool to hurl at your enemies. All of society, this should be a good point to show how great Canada actually is that people feel so strongly against racists that when somebody is considered to be racist or that's pointed out, they'll strongly defend themselves in not being that thing. And of course, that's a tool of despots like Justin Trudeau here. In the months since the event took place, revelations have emerged showing that under Trudeau, the government had considered using drastic measures to disperse protesters, including potentially sending in the military. And that's what came out of the hearing. But so this is another case of protesters coming in and having a difference of an opinion with a political leader in our country, and rather than behaving like a representative of the people, behaving more like a dictator, behaving like a despot, and having these people arrested immediately outside after telling the crowds that you like this kind of thing, you like the approach that they're doing, and protest is important. Well, clearly not to the most unpopular prime minister in Canadian history. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about this situation. Do you think protests will be allowed moving forward? I know there's been legislation to push forward to make protests illegal. With the use of the Emergencies Act, it's become this interesting dynamic, and I know a lot of people are partisan one way or the other, but do you want to allow these kind of powers to government? I mean, the shoe will be on the other foot one day. Do we want a conservative government to have this kind of power to wield at any point if somebody disagrees with their policy and wants to protest, that they can be crushed and their accounts can be frozen? Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. I'll be live tonight at 6:30 Pacific time. That's 9:30 Eastern. Tune into that, and we'll see you then. Keep on trekking.